All right. I guess I am live and I'm hoping I fixed my voice problem, which has been quite annoying. I'm pretty sure not annoying only for you guys. It is drove me nuts myself. I think I figured it out. I think everything should be good, and I'm hoping it is good. Anyways, so let us start with today's stream about, of course, what the most merciful Father, our most holy and merciful Father, Francis is doing. Or because, anyways, people think, oh, what happened? What are these? Strickland was removed. Oh, shocker. A bishop was forced to resign. He didn't want to resign. He didn't do anything wrong. And Pope Francis, Rome forced his resignation. They deposed him, basically, for no reason. And as if people are like shocked. You would be shocked if you didn't know anything, if you didn't know what happened in the past. And of course, in the past, from 2014, the hammer was coming down on all those who wanted, good bishops who basically kept the faith. And this is an article actually on an Italian website. And it is doing the Google Translate for you, but it's very accurate. It is called The Sound of Mercy. It's like The Sound of Music, but it's the horror version of the show. It's the horror Sound of Music. It's the Sound of Mercy. And at the end of this stream, I'm going to do my impression of the voice of the Spirit, which our most beloved and most holy and most merciful Father of all time, Francis, actually hears in his head. That's hopefully I remember to do that. Anyways, so it is called The Sound of Mercy, and in it details actually the bishop after bishop after bishop after bishop, which were removed by the most merciful and most humble and most loving Father in all of history, because the only reason pretty much is that they were Catholic, pretty much. All right, let's do a quick, I'm going to actually, hopefully it's not going to be a boring one, a boring Theo, but anyways, let's go. So it's called The Sound of Mercy, the pontificate of the purges, 10 years of, and I can't pronounce that word, defenestrations. I'm guessing the fenestration part is like fenêtre in French, like window, because I looked up that word. What does that mean? I don't know what it means. And it means the act of throwing someone or something out of the window. So act of throwing someone or something out of the window. And so this is the definition. The act of throwing someone out of the window, or as well, I guess it could mean as well, the action of forcing someone, especially a leader, out of his or her job. And that is what it is. So Francis the Merciful, his job, what he has been doing for the last since 2014 is throwing people out the window, throwing good bishops out the window. So let's just go through it a bit fast, otherwise it's going to be forever. So it's not just Strickland. The long series of bishops removed prematurely by Pope Francis has accelerated in the last year and a half. Everything is accelerating. If you notice, especially after the death of Benedict XVI, the man who remained Pope in white, called by his papal name Benedict, and he was buried as Pope. But magically there's another Pope figured out. So it's been accelerating actually with all the innovations being pushed. strike one, and this, I guess it's an Italian saying, is strike one to educate 100. So you smack down one, so the other 100 will, okay, well, let me be careful now. I don't want to piss our most merciful Holy Father off. So, of course, you got to be careful with this. So one at a time, if one just looked at it like one at a time, they perplex. It's kind of perplexing. Why? What happened? Like Strickland, why was he removed? We don't know. But of course, all together they shock. So when you see the horde of bishops that have been removed by the most merciful Father ever, it's shocking. It's not just one or two or three or four or five or six or seven. No, there's lots and lots and lots. That's of course not counting. That's not counting all the religious orders and monasteries and convents, traditional ones, and even from day one, the Franciscan Friars of the Immaculate being targeted and demolished by our most merciful Holy Father. But of course, those preaching heresy and novelty and innovation and perversion, they're in good standing, they're loving, they're open to the world and opening to the Spirit. All right, so let us go through it. The latest sensational case was that of the Bishop of Tyler, Monsignor Joseph Strickland. So here we go, Monsignor Joseph Strickland. So he's out of there. Why? Well, he's just a bit too Catholic, and that's just not acceptable, because that is being rigid. And what did Bishop Strickland do? We all know. Who, after pressure from the nuncio to obtain his spontaneous resignation, which goes exactly for everybody else is on the list, was removed from his diocese without any explanation being given. There are no reports of financial or sexual scandals against him, much less that he was guilty of heresy. So much less than that he was guilty of heresy. And the writer says, which would probably have given him a career. So if you're guilty of heresy, 2 thumbs up. You will be appointed to the dicastery for the doctrine of the faith. More simply, Strickland seems to have committed the crime of treason, because of course we have a dictator pope, and using the term loosely. More simply, Strickland seems to have committed the crime of treason, repeatedly taking positions not appreciated by the ecclesiastical Politburo, like the communist Politburo. And of course, the writer gives some examples of his treason, his treasonous actions: resistance to the vaccine made from a fetal cell lines, opposition to the blessing of gay couples, resistance to traditionis custodes, which is the basically anti-Catholic, anti-apostolic letter of Jorge Bergoglio, attempting to kill the ancient Roman apostolic liturgy. But of course, it didn't abolish it. It didn't do nothing. And of course, Summorum Pontificum basically stated that the ancient Roman rite was never abolished or never abrogated. So, traditionis custodes, like there's an Egyptian saying, "Billaha washrab mayyatha." Dip it in water and drink the water. It's like meaning it's like garbage. It's like some tea. Okay, dip it in water. Billaha washrab mayyatha. Yeah. Okay, whatever, man. So this is traditionis custodes. So these are the unforgivable sins of Strickland, which got him removed, deposed. And of course, heretic bishops in Germany are fine and dandy. You can even promote a heretic to the dicastery for the doctrine of the faith, as Fernandez was called by Cardinal Gerhard Müller. And then that unforgivable vice. There is something intolerable, impossible to forgive, of wanting to continue to have numerous seminarians. Too many men studying for the priesthood, too rigid, too traditional, too Catholic. 21 in training in a diocese of just over 138,000 baptized people and 84 priests. So that is the story of Strickland. Now let's go to the next in line, we just happened to get. A vice that Strickland has in common with another bishop who has come under fire is Monsignor Dominic Ray. So, Monsignor Dominic Ray, here he is, and he is the bishop of the Diocese of Fréjus-Toulon. And now the Pope basically kind of sidelined him, and because he appointed an assistant bishop, an auxiliary bishop to the bishop of Fréjus-Toulon, which has a ton of seminarians. Many traditionalist orders are in that diocese, and even the monastery of Saint Benoit, Saint Benedict of Dom Aquin Reed is located there. Anyways, that is, of course, unacceptable, demonic, hateful. Of course, he has to be, disciplined or stripped of his authority. So this is the story of Dominic Ray, Bishop of Fréjus-Toulon, in whose diocese priestly ordinations have been frozen. That's from last year, actually, for more than a year. And an apostolic visit, you see the apostolic visitor, or under Francis, this is a death knell. This is basically an attack, is underway. The solution seems to be on the horizon, which is basically to sideline the bishop and appoint a coadjutor bishop in his diocese, who would have the right for succession after 4 years when he is forced to resign. Even if you read the Code of Canon Law, it does not actually order bishops to resign. It asks them to submit their resignation. So it's a request. It's a request to submit your resignation. So there is no bishop is forced to resign, which Cardinal Gerhard Müller as well said. This age of resignation of bishops at 75 is a total innovation under Paul VI, who introduced it, because bishops are the fathers of the diocese. They would reign till they die. This is the traditional Orthodox Catholic position for 2,000 years, until Paul VI said, no, we have too many conservatives there. Let's put a limitation and they have to resign. But actually the code itself says they are requested to submit their resignation, which means you request me to submit my resignation. Well, you know what? I'm not going to submit it. What are you going to do? Depose me, I guess. Or they say, okay, what's going to happen to Dominic Ray, which is what happened to the Monsignor Mario Oliveri in Italy, which we're going to get to in a second. What happened is that freezing of all the faculties of the ordinary bishop. So it'd be kind of like a figurehead. And it's going to be like a sort of diarchy. So we got two heads, two bishops running the same show. That's very un-Catholic, basically. Okay, it is rather difficult to understand how the full power of jurisdiction of a bishop over his diocese and the sharing of this jurisdiction with a coadjutor can exist together. It can't. So one is going to, you can't have two masters. So one is going to be gone, one is going to stay. And then you continue, but Strickland and Ray are the latest in a long series. In our memory, began with the removal in 2014, September 25th. So, see, he's barely got in power, Jorge, and remove. He's, as I said, the dictator. Except in September 2014, the Bishop of Ciudad de Este, Paraguay, Monsignor Roger Ricardo de Vieres Pleno, member of Opus Dei, again, who refused to resign under pressure from the Holy See. And they removed him under the name of poor management of the diocese and the great sin of having wanted to build an independent seminary in his own diocese because he was one of the Orthodox Catholic bishops. And tradition-friendly bishops. And he saw the seminaries in the rest of the country were horrible. And he wanted to have an Orthodox seminary. How dare he do that? The strange case of Bishop Rivera's removal. There has been increasing disquiet and accusations. That's from 2014, this article here. Oh, let me share it so you can see. So here it is, if you hopefully can see that one. Yeah, here it is. So it's from National Catholic Register in 2014, case of Bishop Livieri's removal. So it's from 2014 by Edward Penton. There has been an increasing disquiet and accusation of injustice over the forced removal of a Paraguayan bishop, ostensibly because of his difficult relations with other bishops and priests, meaning he's just Orthodox Catholic and he was resisting the modern novelties and errors which are prevalent in much of South America. So that's why he was. So you can see a pattern here. The pattern is you're Orthodox, you're Catholic, you're strong in the faith, you're removed. That's it. I mean, it should be actually promoted, given more power, not removed. And then, of course, we get to our favorite cardinal here. Then came November 8th, 2014, the removal of Cardinal Raymond Burke. Of course, we all know Cardinal Raymond Burke, who is actually, this is his own very website, cardinalburke.com. Oh, let me share that one. I keep on forgetting to do these things. But anyways, this is Cardinal Burke's website. Leo Cardinal Burke is an American cardinal prelate of the Roman Catholic Church, who is hated by the supposed Pope of the Catholic Church. So he was removed as prefect of the Apostolic Signatura in Rome in 2014. And then they said, okay, here you go. You can become the, the patron of the Order of Malta, a position from which he was dismissed as well on June 19th at the age of 75. And then who is replaced by him? He's replaced by Cardinal Gianfranco Girolanda, who was 81 years old. So obviously age was not the question. It was just a plain old punishment. All right. Now we go back to the Italian bishop. So there was another aforementioned bishop of Albania Imperia on September 1st, 2016. His resignation, again, forced resignation, was accepted by Pope Francis after Monsignor Oliveri had been supported by an assistant. So they put somebody to help him out and then they forced him out. So, and here's, again, you can just I'm going to show you some of his images there. Monsignor Oliveri. So here he is. Very traditional, actually a lot of, again, he supported the ancient liturgy and the monks, some groups of monks from the Abbey of Le Bourroux in France, of Dom Gérard Calvet, wanted to have a more strict form of the Benedictine life. They moved to this bishop's diocese, who welcomed them, and they opened up their monastery there. And I'm not sure what's their status at the moment, but they went there, they were invited by him, and they formed their monastery there. So of course, that's bad, that's horrible, he has to be removed. In 2017, of course, then came the fate of Cardinal Gerhard Müller, who was dismissed at the end of the 5-year period from the Congregation for the Doctrine of the Faith, which is the guardian of orthodoxy, after the Pope, supposedly. And of course, here it is again. Cardinal Mueller, for the faithful Catholics, it is time of tribulation and psychological terror. Time of tribulation and psychological terror. Yeah, that is, and of course that terror comes from mercy and love and humility, of course. October 24th, 2018, record throwing out the window, defenestrations, a record for throwing bishops out the window by our most humble Pope Francis, of course. The Pope removed Monsignor Martin David Hawley, and Monsignor David Hawley, he was the bishop of, where was that, Tennessee or something? Memphis, Diocese of Memphis, for supposed mismanagement. But the bishop himself says that, you know what, I wasn't removed for mismanagement, but I was actually targeted. I was targeted and removed. Where is it? Where did it? Anyways, he says, I think because he was, here it goes. He says, the bishop says that the decision was not about mismanagement or past allegations of sexual misconduct, which actually proved to be false. Instead, he believes that he was removed at the behest of Cardinal Wuerl, former Archbishop of Washington, another very humble liberal, who influenced or collaborated with the Apostolic Nuncio, Archbishop Christophe Pierre, to excise him from episcopal ministry. I mean, this is a black guy, a black bishop. Is Francis being a racist here? A racist for removing a good Catholic black African-American bishop? Oh, racisms, I have to say. And I'm actually half joking because, what's his name? Casper, he basically humiliated and spoke, ill of the African bishops. This is Cardinal Casper, who Francis loves, of course. And then, they removed him because of administrative issues. And then, of course, the Argentine purges begin in 2018. This is the Argentine Pope who is purging Argentina of good bishops. The first Archbishop of La Plata, Monsignor Hector Aguirre. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it correct, but actually he has a lot of articles. You can find them on Rorate Celli, and he's been writing a pretty steadfast, solid bishop there. It said, so he was told, okay, bye-bye, as soon as he turned 75 years old. Bye-bye, you're out of here. So here he is, Hector Aguirre. So he was basically, as soon as he reached 75, bye-bye. Turn around and get out of here. I don't want to see your face anymore because you've been such a good bishop in La Plata. So, you're just too good and we have to end this. We cannot tolerate good bishops in the synodal church of the new millennium. So, and then, of course, that was Monsignor's turn. Then Monsignor Pedro Daniel Martinez Pereira, Bishop of San Luis. And why was this good bishop eliminated, deposed, forced to resign? Well, in 2017, he took stand against Amoris Laetitia, his overtures, which is communion for remarried, civilly remarried adulterers whose marriages have never been annulled by the church. So they're objectively living in mortal sin. But of course, they can come to confession with no repentance desired and to receive Holy Communion, eating and drinking judgment upon themselves, as St. Paul says, because that's the merciful thing to do. So that's why Bishop Pereira was removed, basically. And in December 2019, the Holy See ordered an apostolic visit to his diocese, and on 13 March the following year, he was summoned to Rome to request his resignation. On June 9th, 2020, the Pope accepted his resignation. Acceptance of his resignation was announced no explanation, no possibility of defense. He too was sent home without assignment. So basically, go away, you're done. How dare you question Amoris Laetitia? How dare you question mercy? Bishop, you're out of here. You're gone. Forced resignation, which is illegal. Canon 188 says any resignation done forced unjustly, out of fear, imposed, is null and void by the law itself. And of course, kicked out with no other, option for himself. So here we go. This is the mercy of Francis. The mercy of our good, most merciful Father Francis, of course. So that's why the bishop was eliminated. We're almost coming to the list end here. Other Argentine prelates, Monsignor Eduardo Maria Tausig. Again, pronunciation may be wrong. Bishop of San Rafael. The intervention of the prefect for the Congregation for the Clergy, Cardinal whatever, forced him to close the flourishing seminary in 2020. And in 2022, he was encouraged to leave the post at just 68 years of age. The Pope accepted his resignation. It's like when the mafia encourages you to do something. So he too was encouraged to leave what happened here? I had this. Something went wrong about the seminary. Oh, here we go. Now I can actually show it to you. There we go. I thought it disappeared on me, which it did. Resignation of the Argentine bishop accepted after controversy over seminary closure. And that was kind of again, during our most beloved and most deadliest of all horrible viruses and pandemics in all of human history, of course. So he did something wrong. Of course, he was basically implementing the decrees of the Vatican. So this bishop, this Argentine bishop, which he did exactly what the Vatican wanted him to do, which was, first, actually, it is the Vatican which closed the seminary, San Rafael's Diocesan Seminary, not the bishop himself. It was the Vatican itself. And the reason was, you're going to see in a second. So Bishop Tausig determined that communion could only be received standing and in the hand, and not kneeling and on the tongue, in accordance with the demands of the Vatican, and of course, fake, false science, which proved to be a total fraud, as all can see at the moment, which I mentioned back then myself. I've got videos on this topic. So what happened with the priests and seminarians of this diocese? A large number of priests in San Rafael, the whole diocese, and the seminary did not comply with the directives regarding the distribution of communion in the hand. And then the bishop said the decision to close the seminary was deeply upsetting, and it took me by surprise, but it is a directive that comes directly from the holy, I don't know how holy it is anymore, see. And San Rafael Seminary was one of the most successful in Argentina, like the one in Paraguay, and in all of Latin America, with a large number of vocations. And their priests of the diocese and of the seminary said, no, we're not going to give communion in the hand to people. This is sacrilege, which it is. So here we go, another bishop out the door. Even though he was complied with the Vatican request for communion in the hand, he was not wanting to close his own seminary, which was a good seminary and producing good priests. But that's the reason he was removed by, of course, the most merciful Father of all time. All right. And of course, then January 2019, the Pope suppressed the Pontifical Commission Ecclesia Dei, which was founded in 1988 by Pope John Paul II and Cardinal Ratzinger for the protection of the newly formed Rome-approved traditional orders, like the Fraternity of St. Peter, the Institute of Christ the King, Sovereign Priest, the Institute of the Good Shepherd, and others. And his secretary, Monsignor Guido Pozzo, was sent at just 68 years of age to become the superintendent of the finances of the Sistine Pontifical Musical Chapel, an honorable assignment. So basically, they deposed him again, removed him, and, bye-bye, Monsignor Guido Pozzo. We don't want any traditional leaning bishops around there. No, you can go into an honorary position somewhere and just disappear. Just disappear, would you? That is what happened to the head of the Ecclesia Dei Commission under our most merciful and loving Holy Father, Pope Francis. All right. Then we come to Monsignor Francesco Cavina, appointed the Bishop of Capri, 2011, and he was basically forced to resign at age 64. And he was left without a job. So basically no income. And he lives in the family home unemployed. And again, that happened because of some earthquakes and whatever and whatnot. Again, the people use any reason, any possible reason to get rid of the bishop. But actually, the real reason, well, let's go back here. Cavino, yes. So after having experienced the tragedy of the earthquake and having to work hard on the construction, he was left without a job. No mercy for another work. Okay, so that one, Francesco Cavina, I'm not sure if I have a thing about him. Pozzo. Yeah. Here it is. Italian president resigns amid flurry of charges, including political muscle. So I guess he was not submitting himself to the diktats of the state. So he was exercising church political muscle. And of course, that is, not acceptable, not submissive enough to the Antichrist social government. All right, so of course he has to be removed. And after that came Monsignor Giovanni D'Ercole. Again, no mercy for another earthquake victim. In fact, 2020 was the year of the dismissal of this bishop. And again, with no official explanation. Why did I get, I don't know, you're just out of here. Our most beloved, most humble, most merciful Pope in all history wants you out, and you're out. Because, this is the way it is, because he's the supreme pastor. We've got supreme jurisdiction. And this type of thing, which says this is an abuse of power. And no Catholic in the past would have accepted it. And certainly no Orthodox would accept it. And this kills any possibility of any reunification with the Orthodox churches. Because they'll look at, oh, so the Bishop of Rome could kick me out of office, can remove my bishops, my priests, because he has the power? This is abuse of power, not true jurisdiction. This is an abusive, dictatorial power which no pope has. But the real reason this Monsignor D'Ercole was removed was in a video, he demonstrated that he did not like the continuous restrictions due to, you can read it right there, the magic of year 2019, the COOF, as they say, on the sacramental life of the church. So basically, he did not want churches shut down and people prevented from going to Holy Mass because the health authority said so. And this is the video of I'm not playing it, but this is the video of him. It's in Italian, if you can understand it. basically standing up for the faith against its destruction and the destruction of the spiritual life of the faithful. That's why he was removed. Because that goes against what, of course, our most beloved Pope did, where he met with the head of one of the biggest pharmaceutical companies in the Vatican 3 times, and made their brand of the stuff the exclusive version of it in Rome, in the Vatican. All right, then the Archbishop of Paris. See, it wasn't just Strickland. It wasn't just Strickland. It wasn't just Strickland. He's just the last in a long, long, long list of people. Monsieur Michel Aupetit. So he was made an accusation against him, like, oh, he had a relation with a woman like 7 years ago or something, which of course fell through because there was no non-existent crime. So he was forced again to resign. They accused him publicly, and of course it turns out there was nothing. And then he's already resigned. And so he's Aupetit at the age of 70 was presented his resignation, which was immediately, no hesitation, accepted by the Pope, immediately. He admitted that he had accepted the resignation, because people told him to resign, driven by media pressure. So this is pressure. So his resignation is null and void according to Canon 188, because he said a defamed man is no longer in a position to govern. And then, of course, the government closing the file last September due to the non-existence of the crime. So, of course, they used the name of there was a crime here. He actually had an affair with a woman. Oh my God. Well, I mean, I would just say, a woman? Wow. A bishop or a priest having relations with a woman? Whoa. This is, at least it's not a little boy. Well, it turned out to be nothing. But of course, they got what they wanted. They got him out of there. They removed the bishop, Archbishop Aupetit of Paris. Farewell Mass. I lost my life for the love of Christ. Get out of there. That's what they got. They got him out of there. This is how dictators rule, using their puppet media to get rid of whom they do not, they want to get rid of. Yeah, we're pretty much done here. And then it says here, motus infini velocior. I don't know if I'm saying it correctly, but according to that Latin saying, it means, refers to how time appears to speed up in the midst of a crisis, or in the case of the post-conciliar age, towards the end of an epoch. So this is basically what's happening now. So, and therefore, in the last year and a half, as many as 6, not 1, 2, 3, 4, no, as many as 6, and it's not over, I mean, the year is still going, have been overwhelmed with mercy. Oh, I love that saying. They've been overwhelmed by mercy. First comes Monsignor Giacomo Morandi. After less than 5 years of the office of this as secretary for the Congregation for the Doctrine of the Faith. And after that, it came in, who took the train, or the office, after Monsignor Massimo Camisacca, in the Diocese of Reggio Emilia Guastalla. And of course, probable prize, and this is their prize, the probable prize for the responsum on the blessing of homosexual couples. So that was actually their prize. They won that prize because, they did not share the absolute, mercy of, even in America's Jesuit Review, Francis removes from the Vatican Doctrine Office Archbishop who is believed to have banned same-sex blessings. This intolerance, here he is, Giacomo Morandi. This Archbishop, Giacomo Morandi, has been removed. And And they put him in a little diocese, which is basically a demotion. They demoted him, removed him, because, how dare you say the blessing of sin was a bad thing. And this is the bishop he replaced, who himself was removed for the exact same reason. You can say, just by looking at the man, that he is a man. He's not some man, especially with love in his heart. No, he's a man. So that's why, of course, he too was removed. Because they decided from the Congregation for the Doctrine of the Faith, the blessing of sin is evil, because you cannot bless sin. You can bless people, ask them to stop their sinful acts, but you cannot bless sin itself. And then in March 2022, Pope Francis removed the Bishop of Arecibo, Puerto Rico, Monsignor Daniel Fernandez Torres, at just 58 years of age. Out of there. Again, dismissal, removal, deposition. Because, again, he refused to submit his resignation. He said, I didn't do anything wrong. Why are you guys removing me? And, of course, he was removed. Why? Can you take a guess? Is it hard to take a guess? Well, let's have a look here. Why would Pope Francis be so racist against a Latino bishop? A Latino bishop being removed by the Italian of European heritage, Italian Pope removing a Hispanic bishop. Pope removes Puerto Rican bishop from office after he refused to resign. Oh, you refused to obey me? I'm the supreme of the supremes, and and why was he removed? Fernandez, who led the diocese for 12 years, opposed inoculation against the -19 fraud of 2019 to 2022, and freely signed religious exemptions for people who didn't want to get these injections. So that is, and then as well, he stood up for maintaining tradiciones. He was allowing the ancient liturgy in his diocese as well. So not only did he stand with the people against forced, but he actually defended traditionalists. So, and he actually. And he refused to sign the joint declaration of the Puerto Rican bishops, which affirmed the duty of Catholics to be inoculated against the hoax, the fraud, the cold. And a second declaration, and he refused again the second declaration on the limitation of masses in the ancient rite. And he refused to send his seminarians to the newly approved interdiocesan seminary because it was not very orthodox. He tried to teach them the faith himself. So this was not very synodal. Of course, Francis talks about synodality, collegiality, decentralization, and basically everything he says, he does the exact opposite of it. Decentralization is centralization. Synodality is dictatorialship. Mercy is vengeance. Just basically, that's what it is. The exact opposite of whatever he says is the truth. All right, we're done here. Now, of course, we know Pope Benedict XVI's secretary, Monsignor Bergoglio, who has literally been chased out of Rome and sent to Germany without an assignment. So he has nothing to do. Oh, where are we here? There we go. Monsignor Bergoglio, literally chased out of Rome to Germany with no assignment, Nothing to do. And, this is the secretary of both Pope Benedict XVI and Francis, Jorge Bergoglio. He was basically kicked out of Rome. Also ordered to leave the Vatican. As soon as Pope Benedict XVI died, get out of here, far, far away. Return home to the diocese without a new rule. Yeah, that's the mercy. This is what can I say? The divine mercy of Francis. You can't get more merciful than that. It's just impossible, right? It's impossible to be more merciful than that. And then, of course, there's the Monsignor Alfred, however you pronounce that, Zureb, sent as a nuncio to Mongolia, Korea, ceasing his position just as Francis's apostolic journey was being prepared. So I guess his position ended. 64 years old and unemployed. So first, we'll make you the apostolic nuncio to Mongolia because there are so many Catholics over there. And of course, then he was said, bye-bye, get out of here. We don't need you. 64 years old, go and die, basically. Go and die. As you're 64 years old. We don't need you. So the torpedoes of Strickland and Ray close the series for now. We should also recall the treatment reserved for, I'm not going to go through these guys anyways, Cardinal Giovanni Angelo Becciu, the sudden dismissal of Monsignor Jose Rodriguez Carbello, the treatment of Monsignor Andre Leonard with the suppression of the priestly fraternity of the holy apostles he founded, the increasingly evident fact that this Pope does not intend to take prisoners. It's a war crime, if you don't intend to take prisoners, just execute them. Throw them out the window, out of there. Despite the fact that he is all about preaching mercy and synodality. Of greatest concern are the forced removals of ordinary bishops without the reasons being known. So it wasn't just Strickland, it's all of these guys. And the reasons are known if you look in why they were removed, because they're Catholic. Not only to the public, like the reasons are not known not only to the public, but to themselves, to the actual bishops. Why are you kicking me out? Well, just because. Submit your resignation. We encourage you to submit your resignation. And if you refuse, you're deposed. Another dangerous sign is a poorly understood plenitudo potestatis, the plenitude of power. Are you talking about plenitude of power or dictatorship? There's a bit of difference. Or supreme, like what is it, like the God King, like, the absolute monarch. Benedict XVI himself said, the Pope is not an absolute monarch. Is not, and that his will is not law. But he is bound by tradition, by scripture, by the magisterium, by scripture. And not exactly, and what Francis is doing is not exactly merciful pastoral approach. So, and of a not no, let me say this again. And of a not exactly merciful pastoral approach of striking one to eradicate 100. So this is the modus operandi of Jorge Bergoglio, aka the most humble and merciful and loving and open Pope in history, Jorge Bergoglio Francis. So 10 years of throwing bishops out the window. Now let me end this. Hopefully you liked it. Please like, subscribe, and share. And let's see if this little gimmicky thing will work. I will try to voice. You talk about Francis says, we should be listening to the Spirit. We're listening to the Spirit. the Holy Spirit is never mentioned. It's like maybe 1 out of 100 times. Let's be fair. Maybe 1 out of 50 times when they're talking about listening to the Spirit, the word holy is mentioned, but it's basically listening to the Spirit. So I'm going to give you my impression. Now, if that works, I'm not sure if it's going to work or not, but I'll try it if it works. I'll give you the voice, the voice of the Spirit that Francis and his junta hear. Let me try it out and see if it actually works.
I am the Spirit. Do you hear me, Francis? This is the voice of the Spirit. Do you listen? Are you hearing me, Francis? Now, you have to implement my agenda, the agenda of the Spirit, and anybody who opposes you must be eliminated. Do you adhere to the Spirit, Francis?
And scene. Hopefully you got to hear the voice of the Spirit. All right, that's it. That's all. Hopefully you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye. Like, subscribe, share.